Donald Trump just threatened Walmart and told them that they need to pay for the tariffs that he placed on China. And he said if they don't, then he and the customers will be watching them. Here is what he posted on Truth Social. Let's give this a read. Quote, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching. And so will your customers. First of all, didn't Donald Trump say that other countries paid for the tariffs? Well, it turns out that was a lie, and Donald Trump knew it was a lie, or else he wouldn't be asking Walmart, an American company, to absorb the costs. Secondly, this is the President of the United States, aka the federal government, instructing and intervening in a private business and utilizing price control on them, which sure sounds a lot like socialism.
It's been a few days since I lost my job. I posted a few days ago, and I am now thoroughly regretting my vote for Trump. I had no idea that this is where it was going to go, that this is what he was going to do. You see Cheetos up there? Hi, Cheetos. Who's going to feed him? Who's going to buy my cat food? Who's going to buy my kids food? I had an absolutely amazing position where I was able to basically have America count on me.
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Evans Raela. Guys, thank you so much for tuning to watch today's video. Family, Americans are continuing to regret the votes they did for Donald Trump. Americans are complaining about the tariffs, the imposed taxes on imported goods. You know, they continue to spend a lot of money as consumers in the market, and this has brought a lot of chaos in America, even as Donald Trump has also decided to take in South Africans, white South Africans, to be refugees, you know, in America. Americans are complaining so much, and at the moment America is just unbearable for its citizens. We're seeing it's also doing a lot of raids to American citizens. We're also seeing a lot of Latinos for Trump complaining about the cost of living in America. This is becoming unbearable, and people are asking one question. People are asking if America is cursed. People are asking if this is the wrath of God in America. For the longest time, people have always known, or rather prophesied, saying that Babylon will fall. People are asking, is this the time that Babylon is actually falling? Is America falling? You know, is Donald Trump the president that was so actualized, you know, this prophecy about America? Guys, I want you to watch this series of videos from Americans complaining about the cost of living, complaining about the leadership of President Donald Trump. What this series of videos are done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this together, family.
Donald Trump just threatened Walmart and told them that they need to pay for the tariffs that he placed on China. And he said if they don't, then he and the customers will be watching them. Here is what he posted on Truth Social. Let's give this a read. Quote, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching. And so will your customers. First of all, didn't Donald Trump say that other countries paid for the tariffs? Well, it turns out that was a lie, and Donald Trump knew it was a lie, or else he wouldn't be asking Walmart, an American company, to absorb the costs. Secondly, this is the President of the United States, aka the federal government, instructing and intervening in a private business and utilizing price control on them, which sure sounds a lot like socialism. It is the opposite of the free market capitalism that Republicans and conservatives love to claim that they are standing up for. And now he's threatening an American company, all because they announced that his tariffs would force them to raise prices. This is crazy. Just stop it with the tariffs, Donald.
I regret voting for Trump. You guys told me I would, and here we are. Just barely over a month after he was sworn in, and I have so many reasons, so many disappointments, and I've lost so many rights as a woman already. So I guess I'll just start listing the reasons why. So many rights gone as a woman. Starting with I mean, did I lose rights? I thought I did. See, I was told so many times by the left that I lost all of my rights because I'm a woman. So I thought for sure I did, but now that I'm trying to come up with a list, it's just not coming to the tip of my tongue here. I don't know. Maybe we'll try again after I do some research.
Donald Trump is still insisting that, by God, he has taken that $400 million jet from the country of Qatar, and there is nothing that those crazy folk on the left can do about it, because he wants the plane that's been described as a flying palace. Because what better for a man that wants to be king than for a plane that wants to be a castle? But there are, of course, legal issues with that, because the President of the United States, the country itself really, can't accept a gift from a foreign leader that exceeds $480 in value. Obviously, $400 million is a lot more than $480. So if Donald Trump did want to accept the plane, he, under law, is required to pay the $400 million price tag to the General Services Administration of the federal government, and then he can keep it, right? Then there's no problems, but you gotta pay. However, he has made it clear he is absolutely not going to pay, and he says it would be stupid to not accept the plane. Unfortunately for him, very few people agree with him. In fact, YouGov actually conducted a poll on Monday, pretty much the day after this story broke, and it found that 47% of Americans say that it is, quote, unacceptable for Donald Trump to accept the plane. 47% is, of course, not a majority. It is a plurality, but only 30% in this YouGov poll said, yeah, it's fine. Take the plane. Who cares, right? So he couldn't even get a third of the country to agree with him. But what really struck me was the number of people who said, I don't know. 23% of the public, when asked, is it acceptable for him to essentially take a bribe from another country? 23% of Americans were like, I don't know. Gee, I never thought of it, but I guess I'd have to think as to whether or not it's okay for the president to be bribed by a foreign country. So the big takeaway is not that a plurality say it's unacceptable. It's not that 30% say it's acceptable. It's the fact that 23% of Americans are just drop dead stupid. I'm sorry. We have to address that fact. We have to understand that a good portion of the country, about a quarter of them, are just idiots. Probably well over 25%. But that's what we're dealing with, and that's part of the reason why we have such a horrible government right now, because we have idiots everywhere. And I'm sorry, but I just can't hold back anymore. It's driving me insane. I have to talk about idiots every dang day, and it's really starting to wear on me and kind of destroying my filter. So, my apologies for that, but yeah, a giant percentage of the country is just stupid. But I will say this. Donald Trump is facing backlash not just from the left, not just from the middle, not just from moderate Republicans. He's facing it from his own MAGA crowd. Laura Loomer came out this week and attacked Donald Trump for accepting the plane, saying she expected better and that this is not okay. And then you actually had Ben Shapiro, who, believe it or not, actually made a very intelligent argument saying this. I think pretty upset is an understatement. If Biden had done any of the things that Trump is clearly doing right now, y'all would be calling for him to be immediately impeached and thrown in prison for the rest of his life, if not executed outright. So, pretty upset is a bit of an understatement, but I like that point. If this had been Joe or Hunter Biden, or Obama, or a Clinton, or a Pelosi, or exchange any Democrat's name for Trump, this would be the biggest story on the planet, and Republicans would be calling for heads to roll, quite literally. So kudos to Ben Shapiro for actually getting it right for once. But Trump's not backing down. He's going to keep the plane. Constitution and the law be damned. He wants his flying palace because he desperately wants to be our king.
I've had enough. Yeah, I've had enough of this horse shit. I don't give a shit what kind of law you make. I ain't going to follow it. I ain't paying my taxes this year. I just don't even care. I'm not going to be ruled by tyrants. I'm done. No taxes. I'm not following your goddamn laws that you make that are arbitrary and unconstitutional. I just ain't doing it. I've had fucking enough of your bullshit. Washington State, Oregon, California, kiss my ass. I ain't following no more laws. No more new laws that don't make no sense. Your little snitch line and all your bullshit you got going on, I'm not doing it. I'm not funding your scams and your NGOs and your fucking bullshit. Your wars, your thieving. Yeah, thieving. You loudmouth politicians that don't give a fuck about the common person. I'm done. I've had enough. I am no longer going to participate in your horse shit. And I don't give a fuck what you try to take from me. I come into this world with nothing. I'll go out with nothing. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you and fuck off. And on top of that, you best leave me the fuck alone, because you won't like the results if you come out here and try to stomp on my neck. It won't end well. I'm old, and I'm mean as fuck. Leave me alone.
Donald Trump has not only violated our Constitution and broken our government, he's also just humiliated Americans on the world stage because somehow we elected our stupidest citizen president. And Donald Trump continues to prove out his incompetence on the world stage every single day, and did so today in a speech to our service members in the UAE, in which he was not only laughed at, but also completely humiliated by the silent crowd as he rambled off and lost the ability to speak multiple times. It was one of the worst meltdowns we've ever seen from Trump, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into the speech Trump gave on that base, I want to see where he started the day, talking about his second favorite word.
Jobs, because to me the most important jobs. I want jobs. And we have costs are way down. Groceries are where they have a term, grocery. It's an old term, but it means basically what you're buying, food. It's a pretty accurate term, but it's an old-fashioned sound. But groceries are down, costs are down, eggs are down. They were, first week they were hitting me with eggs were up 200%. And now they're down to a number that is amazing. We're down 97, 98% from where they were. And everybody, they said, you won't have eggs for Easter. Well, we had everybody had eggs for Easter at a very reasonable price. At the White House, we had our little Easter egg roll, and we had hundreds of thousands of eggs purchased. They said, you have to go out and buy plastic eggs. That didn't work out.
So obviously we know Donald Trump's favorite word is tariffs, a word that has cost us trillions of dollars at this point. But we also have to talk about his second favorite, groceries, which are more expensive because of his first favorite word. God, this guy is so stupid, but it's inexplicable how he talks about something that is so commonplace to everyone else in the world. He talks about it like it's something he discovered. He said it was an old-fashioned sound. This is the most out-of-touch person we have ever seen. He doesn't care that Walmart just announced that their prices are going up, that soon shelves will be empty across the country. No. He just wants to yell and scream, which is what he continued to do during his speech. And look at what he said about our generals and a specific word that he used.
I can finish it off right now, sir. I said, well, I don't know. That's a lot. It's a lot of people. Well, these people are not good people, sir. These are not good people. You'll feel better about it. Well, they're not good people, but they're people, aren't they? And he goes, I said, you know what? Why don't you buzz them for a little while, and maybe after a day or two.
So now I'm seeing all these videos of Mexican Americans crying about how they regret voting for Trump. And honestly, I can't feel bad for you. Because when we told you this would happen, you didn't listen. When it was just theoretical, it was easy to ignore. But now that your undocumented family is at risk, now that your kids are being targeted, or the kids in your circles, now that they're coming for you, now it's a problem. Listen, I get it. I have family who voted for him too, and I won't lie, it makes it very hard to process. It sometimes even makes it hard to talk to them, because how am I supposed to be okay with that? I have undocumented family. I have a trans sibling. Trump's policies directly hurt people I love. So when I see our own people supporting him, it feels like a slap in the face. And I keep asking myself, why? How did this happen? This man called Mexicans rapists. He bragged about deporting families. He made racial profiling and hate cool again. And still, some of you voted for him. And now, reality is hitting. Oklahoma just passed a law requiring parents to prove citizenship to enroll their kids in school. Texas is next. Who do you think they're coming for? Not white, undocumented Europeans, Latinos. And now some of you are shocked? What did you think was going to happen? That they'd make an exception for you? That you're somehow a good immigrant? That Trump actually cared about Latinos? Be serious. I know some of you are going to defend your stance with like, well, my family voted for him because they don't like socialism. They care about small businesses. They're conservative. They're religious. Okay. But at what cost? At the cost of our people being deported? At the cost of our kids being denied education? At the cost of our community being unsafe? And so now you're feeling the consequences and you want us to feel sorry for you. No. I'm saving my sympathy for the people who didn't vote against their own families. It's exhausting. We tried to tell you, but if you voted for Trump and regret it, sit with that, reflect on it, because the rest of us, we saw this coming. Please don't share any hate, not even towards Latinos who voted for Trump. This is just my personal view and my frustration about this entire situation.
I'm speechless. I'm looking at a man who has sacrificed so much, been through so much, been scrutinized, drugged through the mud for this country. And all of these people are here for him. And the fact that he's here is just, I find it overwhelming and touching that he's not hiding, he's not scared, he's ready to defend our country and take it back. I'm just so honored to be here and to be in the presence of all of this, and I emotionally, normally I keep it together.
It's okay. I think this is the intended effect, and you're not the only one I've noticed with tears in her eyes.
Fox News host Jesse Waters is now crying to Donald Trump because a friend of his is losing his job in Donald Trump's federal employee eliminations. Now, this happened on The Five, where Jesse Waters brought up the story of a friend of his who is a probationary federal employee who's about to lose his job. Take a listen.
And he just found out he's probably going to get laid off. He's going to get doged. And he texted me and he said, Jesse, you know, this isn't good. I'm upset. This is really sad. Yeah. And this guy's not a DEI consultant.
Did you hear that last part? This guy's not a DEI consultant. Again, Jesse Waters is another person in the find out phase who really thought Donald Trump could enact policies that wouldn't affect his supporters like Jesse Waters and the people he cares about. It would only affect the people he doesn't like. That somehow Donald Trump was only going to go after the people that had TDS or some other nonsense. And here Jesse Waters is. He's in the find out phase. And if you listen to the whole thing, he's getting very emotional because clearly he cares about this guy who's about to lose his job amongst so many others.
Here's Joe from Georgia. So voting has consequences, and those voters in the states of Kentucky and West Virginia are finding out that their vote, which by the way was overwhelmingly for Donald Trump in 2024, is coming back to haunt them. And the haunting is in the coal industry. The coal industry's had a tough time for decades. However, they had seen a new revival in that because they had a huge buyer in the world. Guess who? China. China is the biggest consumer of coal in the world, and they were buying it from companies out of West Virginia and Kentucky, where thousands of people are employed in the coal industry to make their living. Well, those people have been voting staunchly Republican for years. Well, in this instance, they are finally finding out that maybe they made a mistake. And not maybe, because the coal industry, once again, the largest consumer in the world of coal is China. The tariffs have made it to where China will not buy American coal. And without buying American coal, you're putting tens of thousands of people out of work in Kentucky and West Virginia. So once again, voting has consequences, and you're finding out in Kentucky and West Virginia. Good luck.
It's been a few days since I lost my job. I posted a few days ago, and I am now thoroughly regretting my vote for Trump. I had no idea that this is where it was going to go, that this is what he was going to do. You see Cheetos up there? Hi, Cheetos. Who's going to feed him? Who's going to buy my cat food? Who's going to buy my kids food? I had an absolutely amazing position where I was able to basically have America count on me. And now that's been taken away. I no longer have faith in the economy. I no longer have faith in Trump. I no longer have faith that we are ever going to find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. I no longer have that faith. It's gone. So you can crack all the jokes you want to. You can make fun of us all you want. But I was earning $45 a minute in hopes of figuring out how many licks it took to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And now the world may never know.
Some of the breaking news coming in. Walmart, the world's largest retailer, is issuing a new warning today, warning the company will have to raise prices due to President
Walmart has just announced that because of Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone, not Joe Biden, not the Democrats, but Donald Trump, they are having to raise the prices of their goods on the American people. You and me, even Trump supporters, all of us, we will all be paying the price for Trump's stupidity and recklessness. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several things to look at here. We're going to finish this clip from CNN, or at least get a little bit more into it. And then we're actually going to look at some articles from conservative publications like the National Review and the Wall Street Journal. Can't wait to hear what they have to say on this because it's interesting. There's a dissonance there. They're conservative, they're pro-Republican, which means all else equal, they support Trump and have supported Trump. And yet, Trump is defying their principles on a day-to-day basis. So that dissonance is really fun and interesting to explore. So we'll get to that. But first, let's finish some of this clip.
The company's CEO, Doug McMillon, is expected to tell analysts this on an earnings call today. I'll read you a quote as I sent out excerpts ahead of time. We will do our best to keep our prices as low as possible, but given the magnitude of the tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins. Walmart said the prices will begin to go up later this month, and the hikes could put the company also in an uncomfortable position, if you will, with the Trump administration. You'll remember last month, the White House publicly shamed Jeff Bezos and also threatened Mattel's CEO with 100% tariffs after they said tariffs would lead to higher prices. Compare this news today with what Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told CNN's Dana Bash just on Sunday.
So we do expect a 10% baseline tariff to be in place for the foreseeable future, but don't buy the silly arguments that the U.S. consumer pays.
Except that's exactly what Walmart is telling you. Walmart is saying the U.S. consumer will pay, which is what pretty much every liberal, progressive, and yes, conservative economist has said as well, which is why the consensus on this has been so bad for Trump. I will also point out, I don't know if Walmart will do this, but they should do this, is Amazon briefly entertained the idea of itemizing the increased cost of the tariff, like what the Amazon price is, but also Trump's tariff price as well, itemizing that so that the consumer would see, oh, it's not Amazon, it's not Walmart just arbitrarily hiking prices. Given how sinister corporations can be, it would be a fair assumption. But they could say, okay, it's a cost this much, and because of Trump, there's going to be this additional cost, this surcharge. And Donald Trump and Carolyn Levitt lost their shit publicly.
Family, when you look at all social media platforms, you'll notice that there is one key trend of Americans complaining of the cost of living, Americans complaining of constant raids from ICE officials, who are sent by the government of the day, the government of Donald Trump. People are complaining a lot. And I remember during the days, of the campaign trail, before Donald Trump assumed presidency, one of the things he advocated for was mass deportations. And I asked myself, who were the group of people who were to be deported? Because most of Americans were in support of Trump. Look at the Latinos for Trump. Almost 62% of the total populations of the Latinas were in support of Donald Trump, while Donald Trump was publicly advocating for mass deportations. Who did they think that were supposed to be deported in America, outside of America. And these are the questions that I ask myself. These are the questions that I ask myself when I see America falling, when I see Americans complain about the tariffs. This is the same president who's been advocating for a lot of stuff that is actually not actualized. We are seeing Donald Trump also, pushing to give white South Africans, Afrikaners, an opportunity to be legal refugees in America. They could also be legal citizens. Well, we are seeing a lot of people being chased outside of America, a lot of people being deported, a lot of people being arrested by ICE. Even American citizens. America has been in shambles. America has been in a lot of chaos, and this has brought a lot of worries, amongst the citizens of America. What next? Did Americans sign up for this one? Did Americans sign up for constant trouble? Constant raids by the ICE officials, even for American citizens? Did Americans sign up for high tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump? America has not seen the type of struggle that they are facing right now for a long time. It's been a crazy moment. Some people actually knew what was coming for America. Some people found their way outside of America. Some people settled in other countries. A lot of black Americans are now seeking to move outside of Africa and settle in the motherland because they know that America is falling in shambles. Babylon is falling. Family, I went further to do more research in regards to the same. And here is what I noticed, especially when it comes to tariffs in America. Americans are complaining about Trump's tariffs for several economic and political reasons. Here are the main ones. The higher consumer prices. Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods. When the US imposes tariffs on products from countries like China, the cost of those goods often goes up, and the retailers and manufacturers pass those costs on to consumers, meaning Americans pay more for everyday items like electronics, clothing, and machinery. Americans are actually going through, a lot of these price hikes, with the tariffs that are being placed to Donald Trump. Importers, the US companies that rely on foreign parts or materials like steel or semiconductors, face higher input costs. The exporters, other countries, retaliate with their own tariffs on American goods like soybeans, cars, etc., which hurts the US exporters and farmers. While Donald Trump has increased the tariffs, for goods coming outside to America, the same tariffs are felt when Americans are trying to import their goods outside. That's why it's becoming more and more difficult for American citizens to survive in this country. There's a lot of job losses in some sectors. While some US industries like steel may benefit temporarily, others, especially those that depend on global supply chains, can suffer layoffs or slowdowns. For example, the US farmers, automakers, and the tech companies have been negatively affected, by the tariffs. Then we have the trade uncertainty. Tariff wars, especially with China, created a lot of uncertainty for global trade. Businesses don't like unpredictability because it makes planning, investing, and hiring harder. Then there's a lot of doubt about effectiveness. Critics argue that Trump's tariffs haven't significantly reduced the US trade deficit or brought back a large number of manufacturing jobs. They see the tariffs as more politically symbolic than economically beneficial. If you want, we can also break these all ideologies about the tariff affecting the US citizens, like the farmers, consumers, and manufacturers, and for the consumers, everything is more expensive. Tariffs raised the cost of imported goods. For example, if a Chinese-made washing machine cost $500 before, a 25% tariff makes it $625. That cost is passed to you, as a citizen, as a consumer. Higher prices on things like electronics, clothes, and furniture and appliances also affect, the consumers in USA. For the farmers, they are losing a lot of money to consumers overseas. Countries like China retaliated with their own tariffs on American goods, especially farm products. The US soybean farmers lost billions when China turned to other suppliers like the Brazil. Family Americans are struggling now more than ever before. People are regretting their votes for Donald Trump. And guys, you can already tell with the series of videos that I have posted there. Kindly let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the leadership of Donald Trump. Guys, like this video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. You can as well share this video with your friends and family so that we may be able to grow. Guys, we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Kindly subscribe to the channel and I'll be very, very grateful. Thank you guys and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.